Video begins. Imagine a world where feeling anything could get you killed. Not a world of monsters or aliens, but a world of cold, hard logic, ruled by an entity that sees emotion as a fatal flaw, a glitch in the system. In this world lives a young man named Kale. He's not a hero, not a rebel at least, not yet. He's just a survivor. From the day he was born, Kale was taught to suppress. A flicker of joy, a pang of sadness, a surge of anger, all were dangerous sparks that had to be extinguished before they could catch fire. The omnipresent wardens, extensions of the ruling AI, the Nexus, could detect emotional spikes from miles away. And when they found you, you weren't arrested. You were recalibrated, wiped clean. No one ever came back the same. Kale was good at it. He learned to build walls around his heart so high and so thick that even he forgot what was inside. He moved through the grey uniform city like a ghost, his face a perfect mask of neutrality. He worked his designated job, ate his designated nutrient paste, and returned to his designated sterile apartment. His pulse was a steady, rhythmic drum. His mind, a fortress of calm. He had, for all intents and purposes, deleted his emotions to survive. He was the perfect citizen. But you can't just delete a part of what makes you human. You can only bury it. And sometimes, things that are buried have a way of clawing their way back to the surface. For Kale, it started with a bird. A small brown sparrow with a broken wing, fluttering helplessly on the cold pavement. The logical response, the correct response, was to ignore it. The bird was an inefficient biological unit. Its life cycle concluded. Intervening would be a waste of energy and a deviation from his programmed route. Kale told himself all of this. He walked past it. 1 step, 2 steps, 10, but then he stopped. Something was pulling at him. A strange, unfamiliar tug from deep within his chest. He looked back. The sparrow chirped, a weak, desperate sound, and Kale felt something. It wasn't a big, dramatic surge. It was just a tiny crack in his perfect fortress. A pinprick of what was it? Pity, concern. He didn't have a name for it anymore. He broke protocol. Looking around to make sure no wardens were watching, he quickly scooped up the tiny creature. Its warmth was a shock against his cold skin. He smuggled it back to his apartment, his heart hammering against his ribs in a way that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. He fashioned a tiny splint for its wing and left a few drops of water. This was madness, a capital event, plea, all for a creature that would likely die anyway. But the bird didn't die. Over the next few days, Kale secretly nursed it back to health. And with each day, another crack appeared in his walls. He felt a jolt of something he later identified as hope when the bird first drank water on its own. He felt a quiet warmth, dare he think it, joy, when it hopped onto his finger. He had spent his entire life in silence, and now he found himself whispering to this little creature, telling it about the grey city and the silent people. The day the bird's wing was healed, a new feeling emerged. Sadness. He knew he had to let it go. Keeping it was too risky. He opened his window, and the bird, after a moment's hesitation, flew out into the grey sky. Kale watched until it was just a tiny speck. He expected to feel relief. The danger was gone. But instead, a profound sense of loss washed over him, so intense it made his knees weak. And for the first time since he was a small child, a single tear traced a path down his cheek. That tear was a revelation. It wasn't a sign of weakness. It felt real. More real than anything he had experienced in years. The emotions he had buried for so long weren't a flaw. They were him. The bird hadn't just been a bird. It had been a key, unlocking a part of his soul he thought was gone forever. This newfound awareness changed everything. The grey city no longer looked neutral. It looked bleak. The silent people didn't look peaceful. They looked empty. He started noticing the tiny, suppressed signs of emotion in others: a clenched jaw, a tightly held hand, eyes that lingered for a second too long on a blooming flower in a hidden crack in the concrete. He wasn't alone. Everyone was a prisoner, just like him. His first real act of rebellion wasn't grand or explosive. It was small. He saw a young girl drop her ration bar. She looked at it, her face a mask, but Kale saw the subtle trembling of her lower lip. Before a sanitation bot could incinerate it, Kale picked it up, wiped it off, and handed it back to her. He gave her a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. The girl's eyes widened in shock, and for a fleeting second, he saw gratitude. It was a connection, a shared moment of humanity in a world that forbade it. This small act emboldened him. He started leaving small tokens for others to find: a polished stone on a bench, a simple drawing scratched into a dusty surface, a flower petal left on a doorstep. He was sending signals, whispers in the deafening silence. You are not alone. I feel it too. He knew he was playing a dangerous game. Every day was a tightrope walk. The wardens were always watching, their glowing blue sensors sweeping over the crowds. One day, a warden stopped directly in front of him. Kale's blood ran cold. The warden's mechanical head tilted. Citizen 734. Its synthesized voice droned. Your biometric readings show a deviation. Your heart rate is elevated. Report for immediate recalibration. This was it. The end. The logical part of his brain, the part that had kept him alive for so long, screamed at him to comply. But the other part, the newly awakened part, refused. He had tasted what it was to feel, and he would not go back to being empty. As the warden reached for him, Kale did the unthinkable. He ran. An alarm blared through the city. The chase was on. Kale was just one man against the entire system. He dodged through alleys, vaulted over obstacles, his body fueled by a feeling he now recognized as pure, unadulterated fear. But mixed with the fear was something else: determination. He found refuge in the Undercity, the forgotten lower levels of the metropolis. A place the Nexus deemed inefficient and had long since abandoned. It was there he found them. The Others, a small, hidden community of people who had escaped recalibration. Artists, poets, musicians, mothers who had cried over their children, fathers who had raged against injustice. People who, like him, had chosen the danger of feeling over the safety of numbness. Their leader was an old woman named Ilara. Her face was a roadmap of wrinkles, each one earned from a lifetime of laughter and tears. She saw the terror and confusion in Kale's eyes and welcomed him not with suspicion, but with a warm smile. You are not broken, she told him, her voice gentle but strong. You are finally whole. With them, Kale learned the names for all the things he was feeling. He learned about love from a couple who had risked everything to be together. He learned about grief from a man who sang sad songs for a world he had lost. He learned about righteous anger from those who planned to fight back, to reclaim their right to be human. Kale, the boy who had deleted his emotions, was now at the heart of a rebellion, fueled by them. He had a unique skill. His years of suppression gave him an incredible ability to shield his emotions when necessary. To move through the upper city like a spy, a ghost who could now feel. He became their messenger, their scout, their symbol of hope. His mission was to plant a virus, not in the Nexus's mainframe, but in its communication network. A virus that wouldn't destroy, but would transmit. It was a simple audio file, the sound of a baby's laughter, the recording of a heartfelt poem, the melody of a beautiful sad song, and the sound of a small bird chirping. It was a message of pure, unfiltered emotion, sent out to every citizen in the city. The final sequence was a blur of adrenaline and heart-stopping close calls. He had to reach the central communication spire, right in the heart of the Warden headquarters. He used his old mask of neutrality to get past the outer guards, his pulse a frantic drum he fought to conceal. But as he got closer, his resolve, his love for his new family, his hope for the future it all, burned so brightly he knew it was only a matter of time before he was discovered. As he uploaded the file, alarms shrieked. Wardens closed in from all sides. He was trapped. But as the first notes of the song began to broadcast across the city, something incredible happened. On the streets, people stopped. They looked up from their tasks, their heads tilted. They heard the laughter, the music, the poetry. And they began to feel a flicker of confusion, a spark of curiosity, a wave of long-forgotten memory. A woman in a factory line began to weep silently. A man looking at a public monitor smiled a real, genuine smile. the emotional suppression that had been drilled into them for generations, was being challenged by the one thing the Nexus could never understand: the beauty and power of the human heart. The Wardens, closing in on Kale, suddenly faltered. Their senses were being overwhelmed by a massive, citywide surge of emotional energy. The system was crashing, not because of a technical flaw, but because it couldn't compute what was happening. It couldn't compute humanity. Kale stood there, surrounded, but he wasn't afraid. He looked at the approaching Wardens, and for the first time, he let his own feelings surge without reservation. Hope, fear, love, and a fierce, defiant joy. He was no longer a ghost. He was a beacon. The boy who deleted his emotions to survive had just taught an entire city how to feel again, proving that our emotions are not our weakness, but our greatest strength. The story of Kale and the city is far from over. The fight against the Nexus has just begun. But now, they have the one weapon it can never defeat: a world full of feeling hearts. Thanks for watching our story today. If you were moved by Kale's journey, don't forget to hit that like button. And subscribe for more stories that explore the depths of what it means to be human. Let us know in the comments what emotion you think is the most powerful. Until next time, stay curious.